Hello and welcome to Post, the channel where we discuss all things
hockey.
So
pumped.
And all teams. Yes, you're pretty excited.
I'm pumped.
Your team, well, not your team, but the team you're cheering for won. My
Yes.
team lost.
Yes.
So it's been unfortunate. You're looking very dapper today.
Well, I just got in from work.
Oh, well, this is work though.
Well, yes, it is. It's work.
Yeah.
But I just got in from the work that pays me.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we're here to wrap up this series. Was the last series to close in the conference finals. Obviously, we know what happened in the other side of things. Boston swept Carolina. We already discussed that in the recent podcast. And now it's time to discuss the conclusion of this series. St. Louis defeats and eliminates San Jose. I guess we kind of, we're not right all the time. In fact, we're more wrong than we are right.
Surprisingly.
But in this situation, we were actually right because when we were having the discussion leading up to this series, we said that San Jose would come out strong, maybe take an early lead in the series, but the physicality of St. Louis would probably come back to haunt San Jose. They would become more tired and stuff, and we basically predicted St. Louis in 6. And that's what happened. So, hey, congratulations to us. We actually got something right for once.
But I'm still surprised we got it right.
Oh, totally.
I'm quite surprised.
Absolutely, yeah. That doesn't happen very often.
No.
Do you want to know what else came right?
Yes, I do.
My Western bracket.
The whole thing?
Not perfectly, but I had St. Louis versus San Jose in the conference finals with St. Louis moving on. So,
well, that's... So whatever mess you made at the beginning, you recovered.
It eventually worked out. The East is absolutely garbage.
Yeah.
And last year, my East was perfect, but my West was garbage, so I just can't get anything right. So, we're just going to go through a couple topics I have written down here. We're not going to go crazy in depth. This isn't going to be a 40-minute video or anything. We just want to quickly discuss this a little bit, and then maybe we'll touch back on it on the podcast this coming weekend.
Sure thing.
So what was your thoughts on Martin Jones this series? Because he had struggles the first series. He did terrible.
I thought he played generally well. I thought he was in the series until Game 6. I thought the first goal that he let in Game 6 was a stinker. Mm-hmm. And I think that was – he wasn't brutal the rest of the game. Really, the game was up for grabs even when it was 3-1, which went on for quite some time. And San Jose was putting amazing pressure on St. Louis. At one point, they had, I think in the third period, 9 shots
9-0
to 0.
Shots, yeah.
So Martin Jones wasn't overworked either by times, but I think another goalie might have saved, especially that first one. I think that was...
I think he played generally okay. I think he played well enough for the San Jose Sharks to win that series, but he definitely let in some soft goals. I mean, when you look at San Jose and they have just relentless pressure in the other end, and chance after chance after chance, and really good chances too, and then you see the puck coming back up the ice, and St. Louis gets a chance and they score, and it's like, are you freaking kidding me? Come on. It was very frustrating. So, and that's typical San Jose, very typical San Jose. Have a bunch of chances, don't score, and then get scored on easily right after some amazing good chances. So, anyways, frustrating, but I definitely don't, I was pretty harsh on Martin Jones in the first series. I don't blame Martin Jones for this specific series loss. On the other side of things, Jordan Binnington, what's your thoughts on him?
He was good, but he was lucky.
There were definitely some puck luck situations for him.
Oh, my goodness.
Even in those situations, there was a point in Game 6 just last night where the puck kind of squirted out to his right, and Joe Thornton missed it, and Binnington just kind of got an arm on it like that, and did a really good job to force the puck away from the net. But it's little things like that, just little lucky things. So he's been fantastic. He's been just an incredible goalie this entire playoffs and this entire year. Yeah. And by year, I mean 2019, because that's when things turned around for St. Louis.
Wasn't so hot in 2018.
No, I don't think he even played many or any games for St. Louis in 2018. But
he's been extremely good and extremely lucky as well. I especially in Game 5. I thought that, and you and I had a quick discussion about it, or a quick conversation about it. In Game 5, it seemed that every little bounce that could have been a 50-50 bounce went St. Louis's way. Whether it's keeping the puck in at the blue line or getting it out of your own zone across the blue line. Just little chippy plays, stick on the puck. and they would work in St. Louis's favor. Just all the little things. When two sticks are colliding, the puck could go any of 360 different degrees. It goes the way St. Louis wanted it to go. And I don't really have a lot of superstitious elements in my soul. However, you have to wonder about how Game 3 ended with the hand pass, and notice that in the next 3 games, San Jose was able to score only 2 goals.
Yeah, only 2 goals. I mean, St. Louis was just a real good, solid team those last 3 games. I mean, just face-off percentage-wise, I think they're 57.1 in one game, 55.5 in another, and 54.2 or something like that in the last 3 games in the face-off circle. So I mean, they dominated in the face-off circle those last 3 games. And at the beginning of the series, they were below 50% in some of those games. So that's an element of their game that they really turned around. They focused as a group. They played super physical, and I mean, even when San Jose was in those relentless offensive situations, St. Louis was keeping the puck to the outside, almost letting San Jose do what they want to do, which is cycle the puck and kill time. And when they did get the puck in the middle, St. Louis forced it out and they blocked shots. I thought defensively they did an awesome job, and going back, that's the whole dump and chase thing again. So they just wore down the San Jose defense core. And when you have players like Carlson, who's already injured and who's already not having the best defensive time, and he's trying to be offensive, you're going to catch him in situations where he's a liability. And St. Louis exploited him a little bit, and others on the team as well. I just thought they did a real good job, and I'm disappointed that San Jose lost, but it happens.
And I'm displaying some ignorance about the West in general because I don't watch a lot of hockey out of the Western Conference during the season. But I had in my head that St. Louis was a more skilled and speed team and less of a physical team. And that's probably not true, but that's the way I saw St. Louis from the few games that I did see pieces of. And I had in my head that San Jose was a bigger, heavier. You see all those beards, you think of just big, heavy guys, and that they would run St. Louis out of the rink. They would check them off over the boards. And I thought that San Jose would physically be dominant there. But to see these last 3 games in particular, where St. Louis did the dominating and they were hitting, and I don't often agree with Gary Galley. But I'm going to agree with one thing he said, and I think it was during Game 4. He said, the hitting statistics are often misleading as to who's doing how well in the game. And at one point, San Jose was out hitting St. Louis 52 to 29 or something. It was a big...
I think that was in Game 4.
Yeah, I think it was Game 4.
Game 4 or 5, something like that.
And Galley made the point, and I never thought of it until he made the point, that the team with the most hits has to hit because the other team's got the puck.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
And a hit is a legal hit only if you're hitting someone who has the puck. Otherwise, it's an interference penalty. It wouldn't count as a hit. So the hitting stats are often skewed in favor of the team that's not doing as well. And that was a really good point. But I did see some rocking checks really from both teams. But St. Louis was able to hold their own.
Yeah, and it's not just their big boys throwing around the body. It's not like Maroon out there knocking people over. It was, Tarasenko threw some pretty big hits those last couple games, and him specifically. Not to get off the topic of hits, but I really think that he came alive a little bit in those last couple of games. He had some success on the score sheet. Thought he was pretty good. So that's great news for St. Louis fans. Obviously, I think there's another level to Tarasenko that we still haven't seen, which hopefully we see in the Stanley Cup Finals. Who knows? But
really, the penalty shot goal kind of took him out of a bit of his funk. He went high glove side on Jones where they had him booked to go.
Yeah, they were going there a lot.
So. Yeah, and but that really, for a guy who is struggling and has incredible talent, to have that happen to him in Game 5 was a real booster, I think, for his confidence. And St. Louis, despite the fact they've just played a very physical series, from what we can tell, and oftentimes players will nurse injuries that you don't see. But from what we can tell, they're going into the finals fairly healthy.
Fairly healthy, yeah. I'm not aware of any serious injuries of any of the players. So this is fantastic news for St. Louis. I think for the most part, Boston's in the same situation. I think they're maybe a little bit more beat up as far as injuries. But yeah, it should be a good finals. Just to quickly note on San Jose, it's not an excuse because teams have been injured in the past and have still won. But San Jose did have a lot of injuries, which definitely hindered their chances in this series. You had Pavelski, who was injured the previous series and missed some time in this series. You had Hurdle, who was not there for the last game, I believe. Carlson, who was not there for the last game and who's been generally playing at probably about 60% this entire playoffs.
If that.
Yeah, and then there's some others. I think Sorensen was hurt as well. Vlasic was even hurt, I think, the previous series, the beginning of the playoffs. So, I mean, San Jose's had some struggles, and that's unfortunate. But at the same time, they didn't do themselves any favors to win these games or to play these games either. I mean, look at the amount of penalties that Kane took and Timo Meier took. Like, these are ridiculous amount of penalties. Like, there's no way you should be taking these penalties. Those last two games specifically, just constantly putting themselves down. It's so frustrating. Kane specifically, I don't want him on San Jose. Like, go somewhere else. He was a no-show. He scored, I think, 1 goal in 16 games or something like that at the end of the season, or end of playoffs or whatever. See ya. I don't want him on my team.
Well, there. What about the other San Jose Sharks that are close to the end of their careers? And I'm thinking specifically of Thornton. Do you think that should be it? Because he wants a cup so bad.
No, I don't think that this was his last year. I think he'll be back, but you can physically tell that he's a little removed from the rest of the team. He's a little slow. He's still in incredible shape, but I mean he's been playing this game for a long time. His bones have been through quite a bit, so I'm sure that he doesn't have the stamina that he did as a 20-year-old kid. But
I think it was Nick Kyprios last night on the hockey intermission panel said something about Thornton and how much time does he have, and he referred specifically to his knees. And I don't know if there's any talk out there about where he might be physically hurting the most, but I can imagine he's going to be 40 in his next season. He's almost there now. Is it the knees? Is it something that you really can't get past? Knees, low back, that kind of thing, you don't want to ruin the rest of your mobility.
Yeah, back's a dangerous one.
Very.
You could get checked at 40 miles an hour and be banged up, but there's times when you just move the wrong way and you bear nothing crazy happens and you just pull something randomly. Yeah. Like the back is a serious thing. So, and that's not really a hockey injury. That's a life injury. I mean,
exactly.
You can hurt your knee and tear something, whatever, and that heals. But I mean, back could be from 40 till 80. He's dealing with back issues. So
yeah,
you have to consider that when you're getting older and stuff.
I hope he comes back, and I hope he comes back. And I'm not even saying he needs to come back with San Jose, but I hope he plays next year somewhere. Mm-hmm. And is able to contribute to a team that is a contender. That might be San Jose. They've got a lot of assets, and they're clearly a playoff-bound team perennially with the talent they have signed, and coming up from the Barracuda, they've got a lot of talent there. So I think San Jose fans have a lot to be fairly optimistic about, although this must be gutting to them.
It's tough.
It's got to be.
It's really tough. He'll probably go down as one of the greatest players to never win a Stanley Cup. So it's really heart-wrenching a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to know what your thoughts about him going back to Boston for a final year would be like.
I think it'd be great, frankly.
You've got another old man there in Chara.
You do.
They're pretty similar in age, pretty similar in physicality too. I mean, they're old, but they're both in really, really good shape. So
yeah,
I think they probably get along pretty well. And
I would think so. I don't know what the situation was when he left Boston.
It was so long ago, honestly, I don't remember either.
Really,
specifically.
It's 10 or more years ago that he's been playing away from Boston, maybe 12 or 13 years. And I don't know if that was a bad deal, like a bad feeling, bad blood, or what. What did he – I don't even know how he went. Was it a trade? Was it free agency? Was it what?
There was a period of time where I wasn't following hockey
Yeah, me too.
That much. So I think that happened during that period because I honestly don't remember that much.
And I'm sure there will be all kinds of people who will remind us how he ended up in San Jose. But he's clearly a loyal guy, and he's been playing hard on the team. He's been contributing so much over the last many years, and it's unfortunate that he couldn't get, and that would have been the only part I could attach to if San Jose had won this series. I really have no affinity for the San Jose Sharks at all, except to have Thornton playing against Boston in the final would have been a great theater.
Yeah, it's
great
a good story.
hockey
It's a good
theater.
storyline.
And for him to actually win against Boston, to defeat the team that really drafted him and brought him into the league, that would have been awesome because they only play each other twice a year under the current scheduling. So to have them play maybe 6, 7 games, that would have been just great to see them banging and thrashing away.
But
But
there's also storylines for St. Louis and Boston.
absolutely.
Arguably better storylines.
Yes.
Because there's actual legitimate history there between the two teams.
Yep.
And not just a little bit history, pretty
The
much
most famous,
iconic history.
the most
So,
famous hockey picture on the
Yeah.
planet is Bobby Orr flying through the air.
I'm wondering if a player from Boston doesn't do that just to do it.
That would be disgusting if they tried it because there can only be one of those, and to try to mimic that
I don't
would
know
be
if it would
just
be
awful.
disgusting. It
Wow.
would be odd. I think it would be odd. It's not something that you purposely replicate.
No.
If it happens accidentally,
And even like when you go back to that original play in 1970, Bobby Orr wasn't flying through the air as he was scoring the goal. Bobby Orr took the shot, the puck was in the net, and then he jumped, and the picture was taken. When the picture was taken, the puck was already in the net, and the picture was one of celebration as much as anything else. And I think some people have looked at that picture and not seen in their mind the timeline of what actually led to that photo. But it's iconic. And hopefully there will be just as iconic a photo in this coming series.
Yeah, maybe.
That will be seen by generations of hockey fans for all time.
hopefully it's Jordan Binnington raising the cup.
Oh, yeah. That would be awesome to have that. I would love, to me, the best story ending of this would be, since Boston will have home ice advantage, they play in St. Louis in Game 3, 4, and 6, if it goes that far. There's a chance, I guess, St. Louis could win both games in Boston and bring it home and have a chance to close it out in Game 4. Realistically, though, this series will go more than the minimum number of games. So if St. Louis comes back in Game 6, and maybe it's overtime or it's late in the period, in the third period, and Patrick Maroon scores the winning goal that wins the Stanley Cup in his hometown with his son up in the stands, the whole thing,
That'd be cool.
that would be just the most amazing moment.
You're
So
right. Yeah, that would be
I
cool.
would love to see that.
Do you have any predictions? Who's going to win this Stanley Cup Finals and in how many games?
Before watching St. Louis play San Jose, and I've had a few opportunities, even though some of them are West Coast games, they played like one of them in the afternoon on Sunday. I would have said Boston will beat the Western team, but if San Jose was the Western team, it would be more even. And I think I was thinking for a while St. Louis would be meat for Boston to eat, frankly. Now I don't think that. After watching them play the physical game, which is what they have to do to slow Boston down, and seeing how deep they are, they're quite a deep team, and how great the goaltending, what a matchup, Binnington versus Rask, it's going to be tremendous. I think we might see some low-scoring games that are going to be a lot of grinding.
Oh, we're definitely seeing some low-scoring games. It's going to be a real physical game,
Yeah.
a real physical style of hockey. It's going to be low-scoring. It's probably going to be generally boring hockey to watch for the most part, but I think it's
Yeah.
going to inspire a lot of hatred between the two teams because
No
they both
question.
play very similar styles. So,
No question.
I expect some bad blood.
Yeah.
And that in itself is pretty exciting.
So I'm going more with my heart than my head, but here's what I want to see. I want to see St. Louis in 6.
Okay.
And that's going to be my official prediction, not because I'm a betting man. I'm not. And if you're a betting person, don't go on what I just said because you're going to lose your money. But I would like to see St. Louis in 6. That makes the best story. Unfortunately, I'm not going to see any of the games.
You will
Any
be
of them.
on a different continent.
I will be on a different continent. And I texted Neil earlier today. Game 1 is next Monday, which is the day after we leave for our trip. If it goes to Game 7, it'll be on a Wednesday night, the day before we get back. There is no possible way that I'll see any of these games.
What about in like a hotel? Like you can have TV or anything? Or
Well, yes, but let's say the earliest game will be in Boston. Let's say it's 8 p.m.
The time difference.
Yeah, it's midnight. It's midnight in England, in Scotland at that time.
Yeah.
So unless they have an afternoon game, and they just might actually. I should check that on the schedule.
No, if they do. I don't think they do.
Because if they play over the weekend, sometimes, especially in a Boston side, they might end up with an afternoon game. So I will check that. But
The first Saturday game is at 9 p.m.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty well toast then for afternoon. But it's frustrating. I've never been away before to see what things look like from another continent. No one's going to care over there, really. A few people. We have some fans from the UK that watch this show and some that follow the NHL. But it would be very odd. If I were to wear a Montreal Canadiens cap or something over there, I'm sure that hardly anybody would recognize it.
I think you should try, and I think that you'll be proven wrong.
I hope I am proven wrong. That would be awesome if I were proven wrong.
I was away for last year's finals. I was actually in Vegas. So I got to watch some of the games from outside of the arena on the big screen, and then I got to go in the arena and watch an away game in Washington. So that was cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, technically I saw the finals last year, but there were some points of some games where I wasn't really watching. I was looking around and enjoying myself. So this is the first final in 2 years that I'll actually be home and can watch on TV. So I'm pretty excited. My official prediction is Boston in 6. I obviously don't want that to happen. I fully expect St. Louis to put up a good fight, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they won. I'm just going to stick with my original pre-playoff prediction.
That's right.
And have St. Louis lose in the finals. So regardless of what East team plays, I'll stick with my original prediction. East team beats West team in finals. So
Alrighty.
there you have it.
There you go.
Any final thoughts before we end this?
Not really. Just looking forward to seeing the replays and reading what I can online of these games the day after.
I'll keep you updated.
You will keep me updated. And I guess there's no point in PVRing any of these for when I get back. I'm not going to want to watch them when I get back. Once I know how it ends, it won't be important to me anymore. So, and you're having some buddies, some guests in the area for a few of these games.
Some guests, yeah.
Yeah. So you won't be all alone sitting here watching hockey.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Nope.
So great stuff.
It's going to be a good time.
You should film yourselves with your guests watching some of the games and maybe find a way to post that for your post-to-post
Yeah, I
viewing
could probably
audience.
do that. I could probably do that, yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Thanks, guys, for watching. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining me for this video. We're about to film 3 more videos right now. The jersey giveaway for April, and then the other 2 goalie mask videos for the Pacific and the Central. So you'll see all those 3 videos in the coming days over the next week, probably all released before this Sunday. So if you're not subscribed, hope you can hit the subscribe button down below and catch those videos. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Hope you're enjoying the playoffs, and we will see you in the next video. Adios.